we put out our headline hole was 62 meters at 1.85 grams. That was from surface within the oxides, and then within that we also had 8 grams over 10 meters, so some very shallow, high-grade material that obviously we're going to be very keen to follow up on from a drilling perspective and exploration perspective. But those grades within the oxide are ultimately part of what we're doing from a de-risking perspective to again move this project towards a PFS.
Welcome to those tuning in to Assay TV, where I'm joined by a very familiar face, Luke Alexander, President, CEO and Director of Newcore Gold. Welcome, Luke.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So as always, a lot of people will know Newcore, but for those that don't, can you just give us a brief overview of the company?
Yeah, so Newcore Gold, we're advancing the Enchi project in Ghana. It's a development stage project that we're moving from a PEA to a PFS with district scale exploration layered on top. Ghana, it's a great jurisdiction to be operating in. We're very fortunate to have a project there. We've been de-risking it over a number of years, and now we're going to take it from a PEA to a PFS. The reason for that is right now we see a fundamental undervaluing of the company relative to the value of the project. If you look at our PEA that we put out last year, it had tremendous economics at a $23.50 gold price. We had an after-tax NPV of 630 million, after-tax IRR of 92%, and about a 1.1 year payback. That compares to a market cap today of about $50 million US. So we see a real valuation gap between the value of our project and where the company's trading today. And we see by moving it from PEA to PFS, closing that gap and creating a lot of value for shareholders.
Excellent. And before we get into all of that, let's look at Ghana. You just mentioned you feel lucky to have a project operating there. Why? Can you compare it to some of the other jurisdictions?
Yeah, so Ghana is Africa's largest gold producer. It's the 6th largest gold producer globally, just behind Canada and the US. It's got a very skilled labor force in country as a result. It also now has 4 of the top 10 largest gold producers with significant operations in country. You've got Newmont with their Ahafo project, where they're investing another $1 billion into that. You've got Anglo Gold and Gold Fields, both with very large operations. And we have Zijin, who's just come in and bought Newmont's non-core asset, the Akim asset, for $1 billion. So they're the 4th major gold company to come into the country. You then have a number of other mid-tiers operating in Ghana as well. So it really highlights that, politically it's a very safe jurisdiction to be in, as well as from a security perspective, it's a great place to be in. So we at the moment are probably the 2nd most advanced non-producing project in the country. And that's, again, one of the motivations for us taking it to a construction decision. And we expect to have the full support of the government to do that.
Excellent. And let's take a closer look at Enchi. You released some strong drill results recently. Can you give us some of the highlights?
Yeah, so in January, we put out some results from our Sium deposit. Sium is our largest deposit. We put out our headline hole was 62 meters at 1.85 grams. That was from surface within the oxides. And then within that, we also had 8 grams over 10 meters. So some very shallow, high-grade material that obviously we're going to be very keen to follow up on from a drilling perspective and exploration perspective. But those grades within the oxide are ultimately part of what we're doing from a de-risking perspective to, again, move this project towards a PFS.
Excellent. Obviously, you've been commencing this 10,000 meter drill program for quite some time. What is the overall goal there? And do you have any other standout?
Yeah, so our goal from the 10,000 meters is a couple of things. One is we are focused on moving inferred ounces into the indicated category, so de-risking a number of a portion of the resource. We have 974,000 ounces of inferred today. We have an additional 740,000 of indicated. We're looking to move about 2/3 of that inferred into the indicated category. So that's a big focus of the drill program. And we actually, based on the modeling we've done internally, we think we're ahead of where we expected to be at this stage. So that's great in terms of the ability to push that infill drilling for the PFS. And then beyond that, we are also focused on a little bit of resource expansion drilling as well. So when you look at a number of these holes that we're drilling, they are going beyond the pit limits. We're also stepping out into new areas that we haven't drilled before. So that we expect will add a little bit of resource growth as well. So, really resource conversion as well as some resource expansion. And in terms of some of the additional results, I mean, if you look in Q4 of last year, we put out a number of drill holes, including our best ever intercept on the project, 204 grams over a meter. Those kind of results are obviously well above the grades that we've got within our resource, and are very encouraging from a resource growth perspective.
Absolutely. And last time we spoke, I believe in London, we discussed the project suitability to heap leach processing. Can you tell us a bit about that and what it means for the project?
Yeah, so what we outlined within the PEA was a very simple open pit heap leach project. I outlined the economics at a $2,350 gold price, after tax $630 million, after tax 92% IRR and a 1.1 year payback. So tremendous economics. From a suitability perspective, I mean, we've done a tremendous amount of test work on the ore and on the mineralization, and it leaches incredibly well. So we've completed now 25 column tests. We've completed 2 bulk samples, and if you look at the results from those, we're getting about 92% recovery. So that's very, very good recoveries for a heap leach project. Within our study, we used 82%, so we think there's some potential upside to what was used within the study. And if you look at Ghana, there have been a number of heap leach projects. A lot of them were historically mined. Tarkwa had a heap leach for a number of years. Wassa, which is now owned by Chifeng, Idiaprime, a number of these had heap leach operations, but because it's such a mature mining jurisdiction, a lot of them got mined out years ago.
Okay, so moving on to the Newcore team, you obviously pride yourself on board of management having 18% ownership. Can you tell us who's behind Newcore? Tell us a bit more about it.
Yeah, so Newcore, it was founded by Doug Forrester, Blaine Johnson. They've got a long track record of being entrepreneurs very successful entrepreneurs in the mining sector. If you look at some recent companies they've been involved in, Newcore Gold, which was a $10 million company, bought the Fosterville asset in Australia, sold that to Kirkland Lake for about $1.4 billion. The next focus after that was on Calibre Mining. I worked closely with them on that, raised $100 million, bought B2 Gold's asset in Nicaragua, then more recently bought the Marathon asset. So that company is now a $2 billion company and en route to 500,000 ounces of production. So, those are a couple of the founders of the company, and then we have a very strong board to complement them. And then my background is I spent 20 years on the investment banking side of the business. I was in London for 12 years, covering all the big global natural resource funds out of the UK and Europe, advising different ASX, TSX, London-listed mining companies on different projects around the world. So it's a very strong team. And then on the ground in Ghana, we've got a team of 25. They've worked all over Africa, worked up and down the Sefwi Bibiani belt. So a huge amount of in-country experience as well, which is important.
Strong team there, certainly is. Let's look at gold. I mean, it's a great time to be a gold miner. Spot prices were excellent throughout 2024. Do we see this continuing throughout 2025?
Yeah, I think if you look at a lot of the kind of predictions for gold, there was a lot of very strong sentiment out there in terms of prices for the year. I think when you look at gold as a whole, in the face of having such a strong US dollar, strong 10-year bond yields, for gold to be trading at all-time highs, I think is extremely encouraging. So I think it's going to be a great year for gold. One thing I would say is that a number of the gold equities haven't traded the way you would have expected them to. I would put Newcore into that bucket, and I can see, as money flows into the seniors, which it has been, and starts to move down market, companies like Newcore should outperform, given we've got such a strong gold market.
Excellent. As we're rounding things up, obviously we're here in 121 Cape Town. What investors are you particularly looking forward to chatting to? What are you looking for here?
Yeah, so Here in Cape Town, there's kind of a few different goals. One is obviously we meet with our existing investors and prospective investors, and it's a good opportunity to update them on the project and all the work that we've been doing since last connecting with them. We then also have a number of different government type meetings, so you get a lot of the Ghanaian officials here at Cape Town during the Indaba, so it's a good opportunity to connect with them as well, and then also our peers. Obviously, there's lots of other African companies who are here, so connecting with them and sharing ideas is something that we focus on as well. So those are the three things that we really focus on while we're here in Cape Town.
Excellent. So just to end this interview, can you highlight some milestones for our investors to look out for in the coming months?
Yeah, so we are going to continue to focus on drilling. We obviously have a 10,000 meter drill program that's underway, so we'll get lots of additional results out from that. And then further de-risking work across the project, so metallurgical test work, we're doing hydrological work, geotech work, some additional environmental and social work. So all of those things we will keep the market updated on over the next number of months.
As always, Luke, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your time here.
Yeah, thank you very much.